Hello, I'm BX Toycat, and welcome back to another feature preview. Feature previews are a series I run on my channel where I show you features that are going to be included in the next big update for Minecraft Xbox and Minecraft PlayStation, and I can do this by showing you gameplay from the corresponding PC update that it comes from. This way you can get a kind of feel for how it looks and how it works, and that's why I call them feature previews. Anyway, the reason it's been a couple of months since the last one of these I did is because regarding the next big update, TU30 we're currently calling it, we don't really know too much from 4J. They've been pretty quiet about the whole ordeal until the last bug fix, where it was entirely bug fixes in that update, besides one actual change to the game where they changed the sponge texture to be the texture from after they updated the sponge block to do lots of new things. And that means that although it's not confirmed the sponge block will be in the next update, it does seem very, very likely now. So I'm going to be covering exactly, how the sponge blocks works, how you find it, all these sorts of new things that change as of the sponge update and stuff. And yeah, that's what I'm doing in today's video. So please do like it if you do like that sort of stuff. It helps out the channel a lot, and lets me know you want to see more feature previews just like this one. And speaking of people, if you like feature previews, I do have a playlist for the rest of these in the description down below, and hopefully in the annotation too, so you can just click on that if you want to learn more about all the other features we're currently believing are going to be in TU30, because you can go check that stuff out. Anyway, let's get straight into the video then, shall we, by talking about, the sponge and how it is actually a new feature for TU30, because, for the next update, because you might think, wait a minute, Toycat, we've had sponges since, like, TU5, they're a very, very old feature, you can get them already, right? And that is technically true, but sponges don't do anything. They're just a block that you can stare at and be like, yep, I have sponges in my house, they sure do look pretty, don't they? But they don't actually do anything in the current update. However, that changes as of the 1.8 update for the PC, because it actually changes them to be what a sponge actually does and absorb water. It absorbs water anywhere from 7 blocks, you calculate the 7 blocks in any distance from it, to actually give you the, how many blocks it absorbs, and it basically means you can absorb a lot of water, not an entire ocean like this one, because it will just immediately be going back. But if you have an area like this, where you can see it's all sectioned off, but there's a lot of water they'd have to manually get rid of, instead of manually going in and doing that, what I can actually do is I can just place a sponge over there, and boom, all of the water instantly disappears and turns into this sponge. So if you do use a sponge to absorb water this way, it will turn your sponge into a wet sponge, which does have its own little purpose, but just bear in mind they are separate blocks. So if you do like just your creative stuff and having things look different, you can see there is a very slight difference between this and this, namely that you've got the particle effects and the slightly darker color. So just bear in mind they are slightly different blocks, that they don't stack together, and they have slightly different effects. And you can turn wet sponges back into regular sponges, but we'll cover that in a second. Let's cover how you actually get sponges to turn them into sponges and stuff, because you might be like, okay, so we've got the sponges, how do we actually get them though? Because I get their work now, but what do they do? So yeah, this is something you obviously only have to do in survival, because in creative you can just go ahead and do that if you want to, but you're going to need to have the water temples. So as a obviously inclusion of this, they're probably going to include these too, but they could just make the sponge more active in TU30, we're not sure. But if you are going to get these in survival, the way you need to do this, I'm going to quickly go into creative, by the way, if you're wondering. If you are going to do this, if you're going to actually get these in survival, you're going to need to, first of all, drink some night vision potions so you can see below water, and then go to where your guardian temple is, because these water temples, ocean monuments they're called, are the two ways to get sponges in survival for Minecraft, and they're both a little tricky. So the first one is you need to kill your elder guardian. Elder guardians are a very rare mob. I think that's it, poking its tail out from there, but elder guardians are a very tricky mob to kill. They have 4 times as many health as the player, and they're very, very tricky, because guardians are kind of tricky enough to kill as it is, but this elder guardian gives you the stats effect of giving you mining fatigue, so you can't break blocks really at all while you're nearby, and just a bunch of stuff like that. But if you can get 1 sponge from killing him, or if you run through the entire of this water temple, so you'll probably need a watering potion, or you'll need to have some way of killing air down here. You need to go through here, you need to kill all the guardians, get past them all in some way. Eventually, you'll find a room which is covered in wet sponges. So these are, of course, wet sponges because they're sitting here below the water. I don't know why the Guardian Temples have all of these wet sponges, but it's just one of the blocks that they have here. Don't question it too much. And you can break these and, of course, pick these up. So if we're in survival, we'd be able to pick these up, and then we'd have lots of wet sponges. But then we just have wet sponges, right? What do we do with those to have something useful? So, yeah, regardless of how you get your sponge or your wet sponge, you're going to, at some point, need to turn them back into a real thing. So was my island? Okay, there's my island. I got a little lost there. But yeah, so you can see Ocean Monument, very, very cool, very, very scary, but that's something for another time. But for now, we need to cover exactly how you turn these wet sponges back into regular sponges. So it is pretty cool because you can just put them in a furnace and dry them off, which I really like the idea of. But not only can you do that to dry them off, but if you have, so let's make some more wet sponges here. So here you can see I'm just getting rid of loads of water, which is technically a thing you can do. So let's go back to survival now. Game mode 0. and let's show you exactly what you can do with these sponges to do some cool stuff. So we break this, and we break this. If you put these in the furnace with, if you put the wet sponge in the furnace using a bucket of lava, because the lava, of course, drains to turn this into stuff, when you eventually make the dry sponge, because that's what happens eventually, you get a nice sponge like this, and it turns back into your regular one. What actually happens is when you drain the sponge to make the sponge, you'll actually turn your empty bucket into a water bucket. So it's a pretty cool way to make some water from it. I mean, water's kind of next to infinite anyway, but if you do want to have some extra water, you can totally do that by drying off a sponge and turning it into a dry sponge and some water. So just something cool that I thought was one of the things you can do. That is the sponge. It's a cool new block that mostly it makes getting rid of large amounts of water easier, but you can also use it in survival as a kind of decorative block, because these are very rare blocks. You can only find so many per world. You can also use it in creative for just mass water removal projects. Like, you could remove this entire ocean if you're really dedicated and just spam it really fast. There's a lot of cool things you can do with sponges, and that's why I think they're one of the cool features they'll be included in the next big update. Whether or not they'll be properly available in survival, i.e., the ability to get them from an ocean monument, is yet to be known, because that is a very big feature that is kind of a prerequisite to get these in survival. But the fact that they'll absorb water does seem like it's very likely for the next update, and yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So let me know what you think about the sponges so far in the comments down below. I'm very curious as to what you have to say. Also, please do like it. If you do like it, it helps out the channel a lot, and lets me know you do like it. Share the video if you really liked it, and subscribe if you're new around here. I make videos like this every single day on my channel, and I'll keep making more feature previews as more stuff becomes likely for the next big update. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!